They call them workhorses. Dependable, tough, the foundation of American manufacturing excellence. But the truth, some pickup trucks are mechanical nightmares wrapped in chrome and marketing lies. Right now, thousands of these legendary trucks are being abandoned in junkyards, sitting useless in driveways, or traded in at devastating losses. Not because they're old, not because they're high mileage, but because they were fundamentally flawed from the moment they rolled off the assembly line. The automotive industry doesn't want you to know which trucks are ticking time bombs. They've spent billions on ads showing these same vehicles conquering mountains, towing impossible loads, and never breaking a sweat. But mechanics across America are breaking their silence. They're naming names, and they're warning that 5 specific pickup trucks have become so notorious for catastrophic failures that only financial idiots would consider buying them in 2025. I recently spoke with James Wilson, a master mechanic with 30 years of experience. In my shop, we call these 5 trucks wallet killers. They look tough on the outside, but inside, engineering disasters waiting to happen. When I see one of these models on the lift, I already know I'll be calling the owner with bad news. What are these 5 trucks that mechanics say you should never touch? Why did automakers cover up fatal flaws like exploding spark plugs, oil-hungry lifters, and self-destructing fuel systems? And could your truck, or the one you're thinking about buying, already be on this reputation-destroying list? Because when you see the breakdown, you'll understand why thousands of once loyal owners are walking away from brands they've trusted for decades. This isn't hype. It's survival knowledge that could save you from a 5-figure repair bill on a truck that's worth less than the parts it needs. Everyone knows truck brands rise and fall. Reputations change, but what most people miss is the pattern behind why certain trucks become mechanical disasters while others last for decades. These 5 trucks didn't just happen to be bad, they were the result of deliberate corporate decisions. Shortcuts, cost-cutting, and engineering gambles that prioritize short-term profits over long-term reliability. I've spent months investigating what really happened behind closed doors at major truck manufacturers, talking to former engineers, reviewing internal documents, and collecting testimony from mechanics who've had to deliver the bad news to thousands of heartbroken truck owners. What I discovered will fundamentally change how you look at pickup trucks forever. The engineers knew. The test drivers knew. Even some dealers knew these trucks had fatal flaws before the first customer ever signed a purchase agreement. But instead of fixing the problems, manufacturers calculated something else entirely: how much cheaper it would be to handle warranty claims than to redesign flawed components. One former quality control engineer from a major American truck manufacturer told me, "We identified the failure points in pre-production testing. The data showed these engines would start failing around 60 to 80,000 miles, conveniently just after most warranty periods. But rebuilding them properly would have added about $800 per unit in production costs. Management decided that was unacceptable." That's right. For less than $1,000 per truck in additional production investment, these manufacturers could have prevented billions in repair costs and saved their reputations. Instead, they gambled with your money, your safety, and your trust. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. It's not just about individual components failing, it's about entire engineering philosophies that were fundamentally flawed from day one. Systems that were never designed to work together long term. Innovations that sounded great in marketing materials but created catastrophic real-world consequences. And the evidence isn't just in junkyards and repair shops. It's in the internal communications, warranty claim data, and technical service bulletins that show exactly when manufacturers knew they had created monsters and chose to stay silent. What exactly makes a truck so unreliable that even mechanics refuse to touch it? And how did these 5 specific pickups earn their reputation as the absolute worst investments on 4 wheels? Let's start with number 5 on our countdown of mechanical nightmares. The Ford F-150 with the 5.4-liter Triton V8 engine, produced from 2004 through 2010. The Ford F-150 isn't just any pickup. For decades, it has been the best-selling truck in America, a symbol of dependability, work ethic, and pride. Generations of drivers believed they were making a safe, loyal, and long-lasting investment. But this particular generation of F-150 hid a secret that would eventually destroy bank accounts and reputations nationwide. The 5.4-liter Triton looked impressive on paper, yet in real life it turned into one of the most infamous mechanical headaches of its time. Ford marketed it as part of their modular engine family, suggesting flexibility and reliability. The reality was anything but. Let's start with the spark plug design, perhaps the most notorious failure point in any modern pickup truck. The cylinder heads used thin aluminum threads that weakened over time, becoming unable to hold spark plugs securely. The result? Plugs literally shooting out of the engine block like missiles. I was driving down the highway when it sounded like a gunshot went off under the hood, explains Michael Davis, a former F-150 owner from Texas. The truck lost power instantly. When I finally got it towed to a shop, the mechanic showed me where the spark plug had blown completely out of the cylinder head, taking the threads with it. The repair bill? Over $3,000 for a truck I had just finished paying off. Michael's experience wasn't unusual. Thousands of Triton owners face similar catastrophic failures, often at highway speeds when engine load was highest. The repair wasn't just replacing a spark plug, it required specialized thread inserts or even complete cylinder head replacement, but that was only the beginning. The later 3-valve version of the same engine introduced a new nightmare: two-piece spark plugs that seized inside the cylinder head. When mechanics attempted to remove them during routine maintenance, the plugs would break apart, leaving pieces stuck inside the engine. Specialized extraction tools had to be invented just to deal with this issue. What should have been a $100 tune-up often turned into $1,000 repair nightmares. Beyond spark plugs, the timing system became another source of misery. Timing chains stretched much earlier than expected, sometimes failing before 70,000 miles. When the chain stretched, it threw off engine timing, creating poor performance, rough running, and in severe cases, valve damage. Replacing a timing set often cost between $4,000 and $6,000. If valve damage had occurred, the bill could approach $10,000 or more. The cam phasers, part of the variable valve timing system meant to boost efficiency, rattled like a jackhammer at idle. Ignition coils burned out repeatedly, costing $200 to $400 each, multiplied by 8 cylinders. And oil leaks? They were so common that many owners simply kept extra quarts in the bed of their trucks. For families who purchased what they believed was a dependable work truck, the repair bills often exceeded the value of the vehicle itself. Many trucks were simply abandoned behind barns or in driveways, too expensive to fix but worthless to sell. The once mighty Ford F-Series reputation took a massive hit during these years, one that Ford has spent over a decade trying to rebuild. For anyone considering a used truck today, the 5.4-liter Triton F-150 remains a model that mechanics universally recommend avoiding. Number 4 on our countdown takes us from Ford to Ram, where a legendary name became associated with a sound no truck owner ever wants to hear. The Ram 1500 with the 5.7-liter Hemi V8, produced from 2013 through 2020. Few engine names carry as much weight in American automotive culture as Hemi. For decades, when drivers heard that word, they thought of raw muscle, drag racing dominance, and thunderous V8 power. The Ram 1500 with the 5.7-liter Hemi seemed to capture all that glory when it arrived in showrooms. Unfortunately, the reality for countless owners was far different from the dream. The most dreaded sound associated with these trucks became known as the Hemi tick, a faint clicking noise at idle that often grew into a metallic chorus foretelling major engine trouble. This sound signaled lifters and camshafts grinding against each other. When the lifters collapsed, tiny metal shards circulated through the engine oil system, destroying everything in their path. Cam lobes became scarred, bearings wore down, and entire engines faced premature failure. I bought my Ram brand new in 2016, says Robert Johnson, a contractor from Georgia. By 60,000 miles, it developed the tick. The dealership told me it wasn't a big deal, just normal Hemi noise. 20,000 miles later, I was staring at a $7,000 repair bill for lifters, camshafts, and all the damage those metal shards had done inside my engine. That truck was my livelihood, and suddenly it was killing my business. Robert's story repeats across thousands of Ram forums, mechanic shops, and dealership service departments. Once the tick appeared, the road inevitably led to massive repair bills, ranging from $6,000 to $8,000 for major repairs or well past $15,000 for full engine replacements. The problems extended beyond the valve train. Exhaust manifold bolts became infamous for snapping without warning, causing hot exhaust gases to escape before reaching the tailpipe. The sound changed from a smooth rumble to a harsh tractor-like clatter. In severe cases, the escaping heat damaged surrounding components, melting wiring and scorching nearby plastic. Repairing the manifolds wasn't cheap either, between $2,000 and $3,000 depending on the shop and location. The difficulty stemmed from the specialized alloys used and the labor-intensive process of reaching the bolts in the cramped engine bay. Consumer frustration grew so intense that entire online communities formed around these issues. Rather than discussing performance upgrades or sharing adventure stories, owners bonded over shared tales of mechanical failure. The phrase "Hemi tick" became shorthand for broken trust. When Ram announced the end of the Hemi for the 2025 model year, few were surprised. While the official reason centered on efficiency and emissions compliance, many owners believed reliability concerns forced the change. The emotional cost cannot be ignored. Men and women who grew up believing the Hemi name meant bulletproof strength suddenly found themselves constantly checking oil levels, listening for ticks, and budgeting for massive repair bills. For contractors, these trucks were supposed to be daily tools of the trade. Instead, many spent more time in repair shops than on job sites. For families, what was marketed as a proud purchase became a financial burden. The lesson of the Hemi years is sobering. A legendary badge is no guarantee of durability. Raw horsepower and emotional marketing cannot protect against weak engineering. Number 3 on our countdown features a Chevrolet pickup that attempted clever innovation for fuel savings but left countless owners dealing with oil-burning engines and devastating repair bills. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500 with the 5.3-liter V8 and active fuel management, produced from 2005 through 2015. For millions of drivers across America, the Silverado has been a household name. A truck seen everywhere from farms to construction sites to suburban driveways. During the mid-2000s, the Silverado seemed to embody toughness and reliability. Under the hood of these trucks sat the 5.3-liter V8 engine, marketed as both powerful and efficient. Hidden inside was a gamble called Active Fuel Management AFM, a system that would haunt owners for years. Active fuel management promised fuel savings by shutting off cylinders when full power wasn't needed. Highway cruising could switch the engine from 8 cylinders to 4, theoretically improving fuel economy while keeping power available when required. On paper, it sounded brilliant. In reality, it became one of the most failure-prone experiments General Motors ever mass-produced. The trouble centered on the hydraulic lifters, delicate components tasked with activating and deactivating cylinders. In practice, they proved far too fragile for daily driving stress. When they collapsed, lifters destroyed cam lobes, scraped surfaces, and released metal fragments into the engine oil. My 2010 Silverado started making a ticking noise around 70,000 miles, recalls Thomas Williams, a landscape business owner from Colorado. The dealership said it was normal. 6 months later, I lost power on the highway with a full trailer behind me. The diagnosis? Complete failure of the active fuel management system. The repair quote was $5,800, almost a quarter of what I had paid for the truck used. Thomas wasn't alone. Thousands of Silverado owners brought trucks to dealerships hoping for minor adjustments, only to leave shell-shocked by repair estimates ranging from $3,000 to $7,000 for lifter and camshaft replacements. Those who waited too long sometimes faced complete engine replacements exceeding $15,000. Beyond the mechanical failures, the AFM system caused relentless oil consumption. The act of shutting down cylinders created pressure changes that allowed oil to slip past piston rings and burn rapidly. Many owners reported losing a quart every 1,000 miles or less. Some engines seized completely when oil levels dropped too low between checks. Dealership fixes, including oil pan deflectors, software updates, and revised gaskets, proved inadequate, leaving frustrated owners still battling leaks and burning. Consumer reports and reliability surveys revealed the grim truth, with many model years earning poor scores far below competitors. Some owners stretched engine lifespans through meticulous maintenance, but many others simply chose to disable the active fuel management system entirely. sacrificing the fuel economy that had been a key selling point in the first place. The financial toll was staggering, but the emotional impact may have been worse. Imagine spending $50,000 on a new truck only to discover a decade later that the engine inside was fundamentally flawed. For many households, when the Silverado failed, so did their ability to tow trailers, haul tools, or even commute to work. What should have been a symbol of strength became a reminder of corporate shortcuts. Today, mechanics consistently warn used truck shoppers. If you're considering a Silverado built between 2005 and 2015 with the 5.3-liter V8, proceed with extreme caution. Number 2 on our list proves that spending extra for a premium badge doesn't protect you from engineering disasters. The GMC Sierra 1500 with the 5.3-liter V8 and active fuel management produced from 2007 through 2016. Luxury and refinement aren't typically associated with work trucks, yet that was exactly the marketing angle General Motors pursued with the GMC Sierra. Buyers were told the Sierra was the polished upscale cousin of the Chevrolet Silverado, offering more chrome, premium interiors, and an overall appearance suggesting it was designed for drivers wanting utility without sacrificing comfort. Between 2007 and 2016, the Sierra sold strongly on this promise of premium toughness. Unfortunately, beneath the refined exterior lurked the exact same mechanical experiment that plagued the Silverado: the active fuel management system powered by the 5.3-liter V8 engine. I paid nearly $12,000 more for my Sierra Denali than my brother-in-law paid for his Silverado, explains James Thompson, a real estate developer from Arizona. We both ended up at the same dealer service department with identical engine failures just months apart. The only difference? My repair bill was higher because of all the extra components they had to remove to access the engine on my luxury truck. James discovered what thousands of Sierra owners eventually learned: paying more for the premium badge didn't translate to better reliability. The Sierra inherited all the Silverado's flaws while adding complexity that made repairs even more expensive. The hydraulic lifters in the active fuel management system collapsed under stress, damaging camshafts and sending metal debris throughout the engine. Oil consumption became a constant concern, with many trucks burning a quart every 1,000 miles or less. Some engines seized completely when levels dropped too low between checks. Forums overflowed with complaints. Lawsuits followed. Independent mechanics thrived on disabling the active fuel management system, though such modifications voided warranties and created potential emissions compliance issues. Reliability scores reflected this reality. Consumer surveys consistently rated Sierra models from this era below average, especially in engine reliability. Compared to rivals from Toyota or Ford, the Sierra lagged significantly behind. To buyers who had trusted the professional-grade marketing tagline, this gap in dependability felt like betrayal. The emotional burden was just as heavy as the financial one. For contractors and small business owners, the Sierra was supposed to be a premium tool they could depend on daily. Instead, it became a constant source of stress and financial drain. Families who purchased the Sierra for everyday use and weekend adventures faced breakdowns at the worst possible times, towing costs, and crushing repair estimates. What should have been a point of pride became a source of regret. By later years, General Motors revised the active fuel management system, and trucks after 2016 saw improvements. Yet the reputation damage remained. Used models from the troubled years still appear with suspiciously low prices. A warning sign savvy buyers recognize immediately. The GMC Sierra story teaches a crucial lesson. Premium badges and upscale interiors cannot mask fundamental mechanical flaws. Refinement means little if the core design is compromised. And finally, we reach number 1 on our countdown. A diesel experiment so catastrophic it cratered resale values and left thousands of trucks abandoned after just a few years of ownership. The Nissan Titan XD with the 5.0-liter Cummins diesel engine, produced from 2016 through 2019. Some automotive gambles become legendary successes. Others collapse so completely they leave permanent scars on an entire brand. The Nissan Titan XD with the Cummins diesel falls firmly in the second category, remembered as one of the most notorious failures in modern pickup history. What began as a bold attempt to combine light-duty refinement with heavy-duty power ended in mechanical heartbreak, financial losses, and reputation damage that Nissan has yet to fully recover from. When unveiled, the Titan XD looked promising on paper. Nissan had partnered with Cummins, a legendary name in diesel engines, to create something unique. A truck positioned between traditional half-ton pickups and heavier 3/4-ton workhorses. The 5.0-liter V8 turbo diesel promised serious towing strength combined with everyday drivability. Nissan marketed it as a new category that would challenge established players like Ford, Chevrolet, and Ram in the heavy-duty space. The reality proved catastrophically different from those promises. "I bought my Titan XD new in 2017, says Michael Garcia, a construction supervisor from Texas. Within 18 months, the high-pressure fuel pump failed, contaminating the entire fuel system with metal fragments. The repair estimate? $14,800 on a truck that was barely a year and a half old. Nissan fought the warranty claim for months, while I made payments on a vehicle I couldn't even drive." Michael's nightmare was distressingly common. The Bosch CP4 high-pressure fuel pump became infamous for catastrophic failures. When it went bad, it distributed metal particles throughout the fuel system, requiring replacement of everything from injectors to fuel tanks. Repair bills easily reached $15,000 or more. Emissions equipment created another layer of problems. To meet environmental standards, the Titan XD diesel used a complex system including exhaust gas recirculation, diesel exhaust fluid injection, and particulate filtering. On paper, these technologies were meant to reduce emissions without compromising performance. In practice, they clogged, failed, and forced trucks into limp mode at the worst possible moments. Exhaust gas recirculation valves filled with soot. Particulate filters became choked. Sensors failed at alarming rates, with some owners replacing $1,000 components multiple times in short succession. Turbocharger failures added further misery. Many owners reported turbos seizing or even shattering before 80,000 miles. When a turbo failed, metal fragments often entered the intake and exhaust systems, causing cascading damage throughout the engine. Replacing a turbocharger alone cost around $4,000, but the collateral damage often pushed bills much higher. Cooling system leaks plagued the Titan XD as well, with fragile radiators, hoses, and seals causing overheating issues that left owners stranded. Perhaps most devastating was the collapse in resale value. Trucks just a few years old often sold for less than 30% of their original price, trapping owners with vehicles they couldn't afford to fix but couldn't sell for anything close to what they owed. Trust in the Cummins name, once rock solid among diesel enthusiasts, took a massive hit. Owners faced endless repairs, rising costs, parts shortages, and insufficient dealer support. Forums filled with horror stories. YouTube channels documented failure after failure. By 2019, Nissan quietly canceled the diesel program entirely, officially ending what had been marketed as a game-changing truck experiment. The gas-powered Titan continued, but the diesel variant had so thoroughly damaged the model's reputation that even non-diesel Titans suffered in the resale market. Today, mechanics and industry experts share a universal warning. If you see a Nissan Titan XD with the 5.0-liter Cummins diesel, walk away immediately. Unless you're prepared for potentially 5-figure repair bills and constant downtime, ownership represents an unacceptable risk. The Titan XD diesel's failure stands as the ultimate cautionary tale in the modern pickup market. It proves that even legendary partners like Cummins cannot guarantee success if the execution is fundamentally flawed. Here's where the story takes a turn that reveals the deeper pattern behind these 5 engineering disasters and why they matter more than ever in 2025. These weren't just random failures or bad luck. They represent a fundamental shift in how truck manufacturers approach reliability, warranty service, and customer loyalty. While researching these trucks, I uncovered something disturbing. Internal documents showing that in many cases manufacturers had calculated the exact failure rates they could expect and deliberately chose to proceed anyway because the math favored profits over reliability. A former quality assurance manager who worked at 2 major truck manufacturers explained, "There's a formula they use called cost per unit reduction. They calculate how much they'll save by using cheaper components or skipping design improvements against projected warranty claims. If the savings exceed warranty costs, they move forward, even knowing thousands of customers will face catastrophic failures just outside warranty periods." This approach represents a radical departure from how trucks were built in previous generations. Trucks from the 80s and 90s were often overbuilt, designed with thicker materials, simpler systems, and generous safety margins. They might have been less efficient and less feature-rich, but they lasted. Today's trucks are designed with much tighter margins for error. Complex systems are layered on top of each other: turbochargers, variable valve timing, cylinder deactivation, computerized everything, creating countless potential failure points. And here's the most alarming revelation. Data shows these 5 trucks aren't outliers. They're canaries in the coal mine, warning us of an industry-wide shift toward engineered obsolescence in vehicles that Americans depend on for work, family transportation, and financial stability. Internal planning documents from multiple manufacturers reveal a disturbing target: designing trucks to last approximately 8 to 10 years or 120,000 miles before major components require replacement. This timeline conveniently aligns with the average length of 2 consecutive auto loans or lease periods. The goal isn't building trucks that last 30 years anymore, explains industry analyst Robert Wilson. It's building trucks that last just long enough to keep buyers in the replacement cycle without generating warranty claims. It's a fundamental shift that prioritizes corporate revenue streams over generational reliability. This approach especially impacts middle-class Americans who depend on these vehicles for their livelihoods. When a contractor's truck fails at 80,000 miles, they're not just facing an inconvenient repair bill, they're facing a threat to their entire business and family income. The trend toward complexity without durability explains why all 5 trucks on our list suffered from similar patterns. Components designed too fragile for their intended purpose, systems that interact in ways that accelerate wear, and failures that cascade through multiple systems once they begin. This isn't just about avoiding 5 specific models, it's about understanding the new reality of truck ownership in 2025 and beyond, where mechanical knowledge, careful buying decisions, and realistic expectations about service costs have become essential survival skills. They said these trucks were built Ford tough, professional grade, Ram tough, like a rock. The reality? Some were ticking time bombs from the moment they left the factory. We've exposed the 5 pickup trucks that mechanics across America say only idiots would buy in 2025. The Ford F-150 with the 5.4-liter Triton engine, the Ram 1500 with the Hemi-Tick, the Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra with their oil-hungry active fuel management systems, and the catastrophic Nissan Titan XD diesel that destroyed a legendary engine name. These weren't just bad designs or honest mistakes. They represent a fundamental shift in how truck manufacturers view reliability, warranty service, and your financial well-being. For decades, pickup trucks were symbols of dependability, vehicles you could pass down to your children. Today, many are engineered to last just long enough to avoid warranty claims before major components begin to fail. 20 years ago, hitting 200,000 miles was expected in a well-maintained truck, says James Wilson, the master mechanic we spoke with earlier. Today, I see owners celebrating if they make it to 100,000 without a 4-figure repair bill. The industry has changed, and not for the better. This new reality hits hardest for working Americans who depend on these vehicles for their livelihoods. When a contractor's truck fails at 80,000 miles, they're not just facing an inconvenient repair, they're facing a threat to their entire business and family income. For anyone shopping the used truck market in 2025, knowledge has become your most powerful tool. Understanding which engines to avoid, which years represented peak reliability problems, and which technologies proved fundamentally flawed can save you from financial disaster. And perhaps most importantly, we've seen how the trucks that looked toughest in commercials often proved weakest in real life. The engines with the most impressive specs sometimes failed fastest, and the premium badges that commanded higher prices frequently covered the exact same flawed components found in their cheaper siblings. The automotive industry wants you focused on horsepower numbers, towing capacities, and chrome packages. They'd prefer you never learn about exploding spark plugs, collapsing lifters, and fuel systems that contaminate themselves with metal fragments. But now you know better. You've seen behind the marketing curtain, and you're equipped with the knowledge that mechanics wish every truck buyer understood before signing on the dotted line. Because in today's truck market, what you don't know absolutely can hurt you. Financially, practically and emotionally. The days of blindly trusting a brand name or being swayed by clever marketing are over for informed buyers. The trucks that look toughest on television commercials aren't always the ones still running when your family needs them most.